whenever an artist passes, it's kind of commonplace for their catalog to get more attention than it did the day before they passed. I'm sure in the coming days, weeks, there's going to be a lot of stories about Mac, a lot of buzz about him in the news, people questioning perhaps what his impact was, what his work did for people. And I just want to put this out there before any of these stories rise, because I fear that a lot of them will miss the point. I was in the midst of putting together a second video about Mac, until he passed. I'll put a link to the first video up in the description so you guys can watch that if you really want to. But this, more than anything, is because I've had to kind of scrap the other project. This is going to just be me talking to you guys. No fancy edits, no super long, drawn-out script. This is just thoughts from a Mac fan and how his music affected me. As someone who's followed him through pretty much his entire musical career, I think I fall into a group of fans that felt like they knew Mac on a deeper level. He has said in interviews that he didn't really think too much into how he outwardly projected himself. I want to say that Mac's music has affected me personally in a very profound way, in that since hearing Mac the first time, I almost instantly related to who he was, and made me feel more like a friend than a fan. And I expressed this in my previous video again, how it is that Mac was able to do this with his fan base. It was almost as if I related to Mac so much, I kind of saw a piece of myself in what he was going through. I think a lot of people did. I was in a place in my life when I heard Mac's stuff after Blue Slide Park where I was going through a lot of things. I was going through depression, or I was in a period of my life where I kind of asked why about everything. About every turn I would make, every decision I would take. And Mac kind of, in a way, helped me through this. I can't fully put into words why, and I don't want to ramble too much because this isn't a scripted video. I'm coming at you guys almost in a state of mourning right now. And thinking about it a lot, it kind of came to the point where it felt like Mac was he almost acted as a scapegoat for my generation. He coming up, being almost the same as us and taking this crazy offshoot of a path through his life with his fame and money and suddenly all these drugs. It was almost as if I felt comfort knowing that Mac was okay, knowing that Mac was still going through, so that he was still pushing through, even though he was dealing with these emotions on arguably a much larger scale than many of us. It was relatable in that sense. Whether it be people who are experiencing minor depression and hear Mac's music and think, oh, it's not so bad, or it be the opposite side of the spectrum, people going through severe, trauma in their life or depression or questioning their very life or existence. You have those people who can relate very strongly to what Mac was going through, and perhaps using the fact that he was still going and the lessons that he was learning through his music as lessons for themselves in their own life. And I think in that manner, it would be appropriate to kind of say that Mac perhaps unknowingly made himself a scapegoat for our generation in terms of going down maybe one of the worst paths that you could go down in terms of dealing with emotions or just a lot of drugs. I think probably the fact that we've now lost Mac means a lot of people have lost this almost guiding light or shepherd-esque figure for them. And it certainly feels that way for me. I love music. Everything I do is about music. I made this channel because I love music. I love talking about it. I love everything that happens within the entire sphere of music, whether it be behind the scenes, forefront, you know, talking about the what if, the why of music. That's why I made this channel. But I've never thought that I could have been this profoundly affected by the loss of an artistic entity. I never would have thought that Mac Miller, of all people, would pass at such a young age. It's like, it doesn't make a lot of sense, and I'm sure a lot of his fans feel this kind of clawing, grieving feeling like he's not gone, you know? You could hope that he's not. Or I said in my previous video that Mac Miller, if you listen, has one of the most well-documented emotional journeys in all of modern hip-hop. And I stand by that claim. And even though there are going to be surely stories about his life and what he's done, I fear that this may be overlooked, and I think it needs to be said here. Mac Miller deserved 500 times more credit than he actually got. And I suppose this is speculation, but I feel that if Mac were to finish his journey, if he were to continue through his life and somehow find a solace, find a finishing line to what he had gone through, find a way to kind of recapture the childlike optimism or sense of wonder and pride that he once felt that kind of brought him into hip-hop in the first place, if he could come back from everything he's been through, summarize it all, and give us all life lessons from what he's learned going down such a hard path of trying to fit into a sensation since you're young, and then having to deal with pressure tenfold from what you would normally have to go through, someone like me or maybe you watching at home. If Mac could get through that and finish it and give us a lesson and create a body of work expressing that he's finally okay, that he's made it, and this is how you should or shouldn't look at things, or what's detrimental to your health, or what helped him, I think that this could have had such a profound effect on music. You had people like X who were going down the same path, highlighting the changes that you can go through in your life and how you can turn things around for the positive, for the better. I think that Mac was on the very same road. I'm not going to argue about who would have had a greater effect, because it doesn't really matter anymore, does it? I just want to cap this video off because I want to keep it on the shorter side. But Mac Miller deserves way more credit than he got during his life. Not perhaps for his musical stylings, just in terms of musicality of them. You know, some of it was funky, some of it was thought-provoking, yes. He wasn't going to win any Grammys for his music. However, it was Mac's ability to encapsulate and express his emotions how he did that brought him the loyal fan base that he got from the very start, and that made it feel like to so many people that he was this guiding light, and that he deserves 500% more credit for than he did get. Hopefully, this will be put into the public spotlight. Hopefully, someone will say this that has a bigger platform than me. And if not, then share this video, you know? But I had hoped that Mac could find a finish line, that he could find solace, that he could finish his journey, and we could all learn life lessons from it. But it seems now that that's not the case. Mac's journey has come to an end, and now we're left having to kind of finish it ourselves. If you're a fan of Mac, if he will live on in your library, or if he affected you like he affected me, give this video a like. And you know what? If anything that I've said here doesn't make the news, isn't said about Mac, let it be known. Rest in peace to Mac Miller.